Okay, welcome back. It's Thursday of this combined parsha of Vayakhel, Pekudei, and also HaChodesh. Lots to talk about this week. Again, I'm sorry for not being able to be on the last 2 days, and I appreciate Rabbi Levitt filling in for me yesterday. Hope that you all enjoyed his Rashi, which is an important one for Chodesh Nisan, which is upon us this coming week. So in the combined parshios, the aliyos are combined. I'm going to cheat a little bit. And today's Rashi that we're going to look at is actually from the Shishi aliyah of the combined parshios. It's Revi of Pekudei, but it's the sixth aliyah of the combined parshios. I'm doing that because today's aliyah, the fifth aliyah of the combined parshios, is pretty sparse. I think there's only three, maybe four Rashis at most in this aliyah, and they're difficult ones, ones that you can look at on your own. But there's a couple of interesting Rashis on tomorrow's aliyah, so I wanted to focus on the first one. Up to this point in the parsha of Pekudei, after they've constructed all the different vessels and parts and components of the Mishkan, and after the details of how much gold and silver and all the materials is given towards the construction of the Mishkan and Parshas Pekudei, after all of that is done, the pasuk tells us that they start to bring everything to Moshe Rabbeinu. They bring the final product to Moshe Rabbeinu before the Mishkan is actually put up. The pasuk says, "Vayaviu es hamishkan el Moshe." Es ha'oel ves kol kilav, krasav, krashav, brichav, amudav, adanav. They bring the whole Mishkan to Moshe, and then it details what that means. They brought the actual ohel, the tent of the Mishkan. They brought all the furniture, all the kalim, and all the vessels, and all the things that were used, all of the clasps, all of the boards, all of the pillars, all of the sockets, everything that is part of the components of the Mishkan, they brought to Moshe. And you would imagine, if you didn't have Rashi, that the reason why they're bringing it all to Moshe is for some kind of inspection. Moshe was the one that brought the tzivui. He brought the commandments and the explicit details from Hashem to the people. He commanded Betzalel and the others to engage in the Melechas HaMishkan. In fact, some of the details were so obscure, if you remember, like the menorah, Moshe Rabbeinu had to be shown an image by God of what the vessel would look like. So very detailed instructions given from Hashem to Moshe, now Moshe to the people. You would imagine now that they're done, they're coming to Moshe Rabbeinu to give it to him, to show him the final product, to inspect it, to express their pride over having finished the command that he had given them, whatever the case might be. It would be a natural conclusion to the story before the Mishkan is actually put up and used to bring it to the chief commander, so to speak, which is Moshe Rabbeinu, to show it to him. So I wouldn't have been struck at all by anything odd about this pasuk. It seems totally natural. But Rashi brings in another layer to this pasuk, which explains what precipitated this bringing of the materials to Moshe Rabbeinu. Pasuk says, "Vayaviu es hamishkan, shelo hayu yecholin lahakimo." Why did they bring it? Not for inspection, but because after they had completed everything, they tried putting it up. They tried to put up the Mishkan, which was the goal of having constructed all these component parts. They wanted to put it together. They wanted to be able to actually use it, but they couldn't. They failed to be able to put it up. Why did they fail? And of course, now that they failed, they had to bring it to Moshe. Lefi shelo asa Moshe shum malacha b'mishkan, hiniach lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu shelo haya yachol lahakimo shum adam. This was purposeful. They had plenty of people, they had plenty of manpower. They could have, in theory, put it up on their own. The reason they couldn't put it up and were forced to bring it to Moshe Rabbeinu was because Hashem made it that way. Hashem made a miracle by which all these people were not able to physically lift the component parts and construct the Mishkan. And the reason why Hashem did that is because he felt bad. Moshe Rabbeinu was not able to take part at all in the construction project of the Mishkan and the actual crafting of any of the component parts of the Mishkan. And therefore, he wanted him to at least take part in erecting the Mishkan itself after all the component parts were made by others. He wanted Moshe Rabbeinu to have a chelek in the Melechas HaMishkan, in the construction of the Mishkan, and put his stamp on it, put his influence upon it, have involvement in this great project which he initiated, and therefore he reserved the actual putting up of the Mishkan for Moshe Rabbeinu, and in order to do that, prevented everybody else from being able to do it on their own. They couldn't put it up, machmas kovid hakrashim ein koach ba'adam lezokfan, because the krashim, the pillars, the beams were so heavy, no one could actually put them up. Moshe hamidan, but Moshe was able to put them up. Amar Moshe lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Moshe says to Hashem, they're so heavy. How could any human being put these up? How am I going to be able to put it up, right? So just to outline how everything went over here. They constructed all the component parts. They try to put it up. It's too heavy. They bring them all to Moshe Rabbeinu on the wagons or whatever it is and say, Moshe, we're stuck. We finished constructing everything, but we can't put it up. Moshe looks and he says to Hashem, they can't put it up. I can't put it up. How could any human being put this up? I'm not even going to try. Amar lo, Hashem says back to Moshe, no, I did this all for you. You will be able to put it up, even though they couldn't. Asok ata biyadecha, you try with your own hands to put it up. Nireh kemakimo, it will appear as if you are putting up. But really, through miraculous intervention, those pillars will straighten up, rise, and get up on their own. So they will almost be weightless. The pillars will miraculously rise and come into place, but it'll look like you're doing it because you are asik b'yadcha. You are looking like you're doing it with your own hands. This is also why the pasuk later in the next parak says, Hukam HaMishkan. It was put up, almost as if it was passively done. Yes, Hukam Me'elav. It was passively put up because Hashem put it up. It was put up by Hashem or by miraculous intervention, even though on appearances, it looks like Moshe Rabbeinu was putting it up with his superhuman strength and accomplishing something that none of the other people could. It's a beautiful Rashi. It explains, again, some of the textual points like Hukam Me'elav. There's other psukim which also indicate this. But it also says something very important about Hashem's desire to have Moshe Rabbeinu involved in this project. Even though Moshe Rabbeinu, because of his status and his job and the things that occupied him, couldn't take part in the actual crafting of the metals and of the smelting and of the sewing and of the construction and the shaving of the wood, he very much wanted Moshe Rabbeinu to be a big part of putting this Mishkan together and put his imprint upon that spiritual home. It was very, very important for Moshe to have a role, and therefore Hashem crafted that role for him in this way. And I think it's a beautiful way that Moshe gets to be involved. He is the prime player for 7 days of the inauguration ceremony, and it's a transition point, right? Everyone can craft it. Moshe Rabbeinu alone can put it up. And then he transfers over on the 8th day that the service of the Mishkan should be carried out only by the Kohanim. So it's really a 3-stage process. Everyone gets their place, everyone gets their role, but Moshe Rabbeinu wouldn't have had a role otherwise, and therefore Hashem gives him one. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a